My first big idea is rescaling. I've always been a tactical consultant because of the work that I do, folks. So I'm a workplace security consultant that help organizations implement and manage workplace security from a workplace violence prevention perspective. So I'm the guy that whenever there is a real genuine need for authenticity, they'll call me because they know me. Rarely do I get a client that comes to me from a Google search or some marketing campaign. It's usually Rocky saying, call Felix. So what I'm doing this year is doing something that I integrated and that I did it unintentionally. And that is help. I wrote it down for you. Help organizations improve organizational effectiveness, facilitate, client learning, and the other one is building consensus within organizations. So they already know why they've called me. Now I want to take it to another level where long after I'm gone, they can sustain themselves, but they got to pay me a lot up front for that knowledge. So I'm going to try it this year, specifically related to those three services in my rebrand and rescale, and see where it goes.
Growing up, as I mentioned to Richard, as an investor for the last 30 plus years, consulting for as many years, coaching businesses for the last 15 plus years. And I started this space that we call Peers on Demand as a way to be able to get to know each other, discuss doing business. Some provide services, some are client of services, some are both, and you can join or participate however you feel you want to do that. I do that freely as a way to be able to get to know each other. And actually, the opportunity is that there may be some thoughts or ideas or strategies or maybe even connections that resonate for all of us. So that's the intention. Leverage that. How do we do better together? And so the opportunity is, of course, that we have talent and strategies and resources and even money or even funding or investing or connections. So last year we focused on cybersecurity. We started a cybersecurity academy online to be able to train or provide training for people that or businesses that want to participate. Security world to be able to focus on some particular vertical markets like healthcare is very liable or susceptible to cybersecurity breaches. And some of our peers as well focused with like Consulting Ace with government grants, commercial incentives, if you qualify as a caveat. But that took off from the pandemic. The government's giving away grants. And so you can still do that. They've got over 12 programs for that. Entrepreneurs University is an education space for small and medium and even large organizations with over 600 video modules to be able to do that. And also the AI front. I've heard it say that all our companies are turning into AI companies. So if you're using AI, you're going to be way ahead or a lot further ahead than somebody that's not. So Echo.ai and Savvy.ai that focuses on healthcare benefits, assessments for individuals. And we're also working with the virtual environment with Continuum Foundation. They're focused on blockchain, which is the foundation for NFTs, the foundation for a lot of security, a lot of financial areas, especially cryptocurrency. Connecting with Ruba World in the Southeast Asia area for building relationships, and also for the nonprofit and philanthropic areas with Blackbird Global Foundation, focusing on actually healthcare now. They started and with the cybersecurity space and segued into healthcare with healthcare kiosks that they can focus and work with governments to be able to do that. And certainly other areas that are recycles and other nonprofit areas. My invitation is that you might consider joining our CoVentures Mastermind. We have that on every Monday that you could participate with a group of leaders. And also we have an upcoming strategic investor session, March 6th, that we do that for being able to connect with leaders. And that one has specific topics like leadership transformation. And I think it's geared for private equity and investors, but you certainly can join in and participate. So that's my invitation. Join our community, peersondemand.com. Certainly join any of our events that you feel you can participate or want to. And our community or CoVentures, and of course our mastermind session, and even perhaps our strategic investor session that's upcoming. So any one of those, you can let me know on behalf. What do you do after 42 years in business? Well, you accumulate businesses, and what do you do it in? Well, his avocation seems to be aviation as well as manufacturing. So, Richard, maybe you could say it better than I can. You've got a very interesting journey. You probably even have your license, airplane license, pilot license as well, but I'm not sure. Let's hear from you, Richard. What is the big idea after 42 years? Where are you heading now? And you're also doing business with the government as well. Richard, big idea for 2025.
Big ideas. Okay, well, as an inventor, new ideas are kind of the lifeblood. So you got to have a new idea every now and then. I typically work on about 40 new projects a year, so there's a lot of things coming across my desk. And not all of them turn into something, but we work on them and see if it's going to go somewhere. Right now, one of the biggest brands we have is a company called SafeJack. Uh, and it's just what it implies. We tell people that we don't make the jacks. We just make, well, as we say, we make common jacks uncommonly safe. So to give the elevator pitch, um, jacks by and large haven't changed or improved in over 100 years. There are, according to government records, 70,000 or so jack-related accidents, injuries that require hospitalization or treatment anyway a year. So we thought we could do something about it. So we have a number of patents on products that take standard jacks and correct a lot of the instability issues that they have. And, it's been very well received so far. And so far, we got started in the off-road recreational market. And now we're moving into heavy equipment, over-the-road trucks. We just did a job for a company in San Francisco that was lifting a 160,000 square foot building, and we provided some jack products for them to make the process safer to do. So that's kind of where we're headed, more into the heavy industrial, heavy equipment, not away from recreational vehicles, but adding on to it, expanding the market.
Well, that would also be the profitable area. The industrial area is going to be much more profitable. I never thought about jacks. That just I think of jacks to be able to lift a car, but when you're talking about lifting a building, there is a space. I've heard about that, and I always wondered how that happens in transport a building. So, well, you've got so many ideas. As an inventor, you're probably like the Leonardo da Vinci of our time for industrial equipment. So I'm just curious, what is the challenge that you have? You've got over 40 inventions you're working on an annual basis. What's the challenge in your business at this point, Richard?
Right now, it's marketing. I find that creating an idea or coming up with an idea and creating a product is the easy part. Selling it is the hard part. Doing the marketing. And we were talking about recreational vehicles and then heavy equipment, industrial. There are a couple of interesting things there. If you're talking to the recreational market, you have thousands of customers out there, and you can sell to them individually and move a lot of product. If you're talking about dealing with a trucking company, for example, like right now we're working with Travel America centers, the big truck stop people. They're coast to coast. They've had some incidents in their service centers, and so we're going to be working with them, designing some product for them to make their service centers safer for their people. But there's one or two people in that company that represent all of the centers. And so you can't, marketing is a whole different deal to try to find the one person that you need to talk to in an organization, and then figure out how to get in front of them and convince them that their organization needs this product as opposed to, an individual who wants to carry something in their Jeep for off-roading. So it's a different way of approaching. I mean, the market's huge, but it's also more difficult to get into.
Yeah, I think marketing is one of those things that all of us as business owners have to be paying attention to because, well, I really don't think coming up with an idea is really easy. So I commend you for that, to be humble on it. But certainly getting that idea and accepted by the marketplace is where it really flourishes. And most of the organizations have a separate person that's focused on that. So I always think that the ideal organization has two people. One that's the inventor, the creative genius, and one that's the people business that gets it out to the marketplace, like Apple with the Steves.
Interesting because I belong to the National Safety Council, and that's all I hear about. I hear about Richard's work all the time, but the Jack incident is something that I only recently became familiar with. I had no idea how extensive it was. Fascinating stuff. But like you say, for me, selling is the most difficult, as opposed to having a product that people can touch and feel. For me, selling is very difficult. It's constantly ongoing, revolving, changing, improving. So I tip my hat off to you.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Rocky.
Yeah, well, selling, I think, is secondary to marketing. The marketing is uncovering who would do that. The selling, they may just buy themselves in this day and age. They'll do research on the website. The client may sell themselves on it, but we have to pay attention to the sales, the marketing, the invention, and the value and the longevity of that. In your business, 35 years in the insurance business, you mentioned martial arts, martial and roofing. It just doesn't seem like they go in the same little sentence, but you've got different people that would want to be covered. But Chris, maybe you could say it better. We're in the world of uncertainty. Insurance is what we fall back to make sure that things get certain about. What are the big ideas in your industry and your business, the opportunities and the challenges that you're facing? First big idea, Chris.
Well, I mean, I'm always looking for acquisitions. I mean, both of those, my roofing, guy who specializes in roofers, and the group that specializes in youth sports insurance. Those are both acquisitions. So I'm growing organically and via acquisition. I've had a lot of success with. I've incentivized my employees to get Google reviews. So we've got almost 300 5-star Google reviews. Kind of goal is to be at 500 by the end of the year, and that helps us with when people look up, when they Google us and they see that we have so many satisfied customers, that it's beneficial, gives us credibility in the marketplace, and that's helpful. But it's there's a lot of opportunity because most people, probably people on this call don't have the right insurance. They're paying too much. They don't know what they have. They don't know if they have the right coverage. Most people that we run into are not covered properly, don't understand their blind spots. And so there's tons of opportunity out there. But I'm about to hire a guy to help me scale the business because right now insurance is getting some pretty unbelievable multiples. We're getting about 15 to 18 times EBITDA or 5 to 6 times top line revenue because private equities come into the insurance space and they love the recurring revenue model of our business. So
insurance is a necessity, but we just don't like to have it because it costs so much upfront. But when we do need it, we're blessed to have it, especially since we had the fires in California. They love the insurance because they have to have it. So what's the challenge you have in your business, Chris, at this point facing this coming year? Chris?
Oh, it's always the same. I think we all have the same challenge, getting in front of people that are open to having a conversation about our products and services. I think if we get in front of somebody, there's a lot of, I'd say we're more of a boutique kind of firm. We're not, my office is located in a pretty affluent area outside of the suburbs of Chicago. So we also have a niche in high value home, auto, and umbrella coverage. Again, an area that, is ripe for, um, we run into people all the time that are not covered. I just got back from Phoenix, Arizona last night. I was playing golf out there for a couple of days out in Scottsdale, and a buddy of mine's got a beautiful house in Maribel, golf course community called Maribel. And my understanding is that it's $1,200 a square foot out there to build a house. And I guarantee you, it's just like in California or in Colorado when they have these fires. Nobody can rebuild their house for what they're insured for. Nobody wants to pay the premiums. I get it, but the old line, you can have the highest quality, the lowest price, and the best service. You can only have 2 out of 3. You can't have them all. So you can, but you got to pay for it. And so I'm at a point now where I just don't. We don't really suffer fools. If somebody don't want to listen to our advice, we just say next and move on. I don't have time to. I don't have time to fight people and try to. I'm not a good enough salesperson. We're advisors, and if somebody doesn't want our advice, I'm not going to say what I say to my staff about them, but we just move on because we don't have time. There's too many people that need our services and that aren't being represented properly. That have State Farm or Allstate or farmers or people like that and their house is insured for 40% of replacement cost. And if you it's all great. If somebody wants to pay rock bottom prices, go for it. You can have it because when the shit hits the fan, you're going to be left holding the bag. So I don't have time for people like that anymore. I'm too long in the business, and so if somebody doesn't want to share with us their current program and their information, we just say next. I don't. We work with people that want advice, and they don't have to take our advice, but we're gonna. But if they don't want to hear it, then that's cool.
Well, it's the old saying, pay us now or you pay later, kind of thing. But let me open it up. You've got a room full of executives that obviously pay attention to mitigating their risk.
Chris, so I was listening to you talk and I was thinking about my own insurance agent. So do you consider yourself risk averse? I know my guy is.
Myself? What do you mean? I don't understand the question.
Okay, well, he doesn't want to assume any risk for himself personally, and he doesn't want me to assume any risk either. So
I'm all about I tell my clients, particularly on the personal areas, I'm like, take the highest deductible you can take. I mean, insurance is meant for big things. We have people that, that they, every time they have a glass claim or what people don't understand and is that insurance companies view it as frequency leads to severity. Somebody has 2 or 3 small claims, the big mother is coming. And these people, so I encourage people to take the highest deductible they can because insurance should be used for major issues, not for every time you get a glass claim. It feels good to go, oh, I got glass coverage. That's great. You have 2 or 3 small claims and the insurance company's going to cancel you and then nobody wants you because they figure a big claim's coming. So that's how we try to advise our clients. Take a $5,000 or $10,000 deductible on your house, take a $2,500 deductible on your auto, make sure you have umbrella coverage. I can't tell any people we run into never even heard of umbrella insurance, never even heard of excess liability. I'm like, you're dealing with a moron, whoever your insurance agent is. If they haven't told you about it, I mean, they don't care about you because it's a litigious society and you bump somebody and they're going to have a donut on their neck in 5 minutes and lawyer it up and coming after you with guns blazing, and you better be ready. So it is what it is. So I want people to take on more risk, for the small stuff and have the insurance and the premiums are less expensive. You can also, do things at your house. You can get a water shut off valve. You can get a, different things you can do, alarm systems and things like that to save you money on premium, but also protect you from your house burning down. So, or having flooding out. So there's a lot of things you can do. We try to advise people. Sometimes they take our advice, sometimes they don't.
Stephen Bennett. Stephen Bennett's the CEO for Simplified Software. You've got a lot of things going on, Stephen. I wonder if you might share more about what's your big idea this year going forward, the opportunity and the challenge. But first, big idea, Stephen Bennett.
Well, the big idea is the movement to AI. We have a large amount of data that we're storing and stuff, and historical data as to feeding people in nursing homes and things, and the challenges that are faced as we've seen the supply chains have been riddled, and food costs have risen dramatically. And the key to our product has been that we do a better job of cost analysis and projection than the competitors in the industry. One of our customers, they came on to us, they had 80 facilities is when they came to us. And during COVID, they grew from 80 to 473 facilities, and then they were acquired by Aramark, one of the larger players in the industry. And the reason that they were able to grow while other people were having problems was because we did a better job of cost containment and understanding costs and stuff within the industry. And the thing is that the market space has changed dramatically as well. People used to, when they were in a long-term or skilled nursing facility, my parents' generation, whatever was put on their plate, they accepted. And now we have the baby boom generation moving into long-term care, and they are much more demanding, looking for better quality foods. They're much more health conscious, and so the costs and methodology of attracting people, food is what people don't recognize is the two biggest spends inside of our industry are food and pharmacy. So, controlling your costs as on food is critical, and we are now looking at how to implement AI models into the purchasing of food and the outcomes based on therapeutic diet and restriction, how to achieve the best outcomes for the clients.
Is it nursing facilities that are your ideal clients, or maybe you could share who is your ideal client, Stephen?
Yeah, we started off in long-term care, which was the skilled nursing facilities and assisted living facilities, and we've expanded into some behavioral health facilities and into small hospitals, and we're trying to look at how to take our product outward into a general public manner, how we can take this data that we've accumulated, because we have a huge amount of nutritional data that we've stored as far as meals and how it could be applied or utilized as personally for people. But it's a matter of resources and I heard Richard talking about having ideas. That's the problem is I have more ideas than I have money.
Was there a direct correlation for the cost containment for their growth to 475 facilities?
Definitely, because as you know, during COVID, costs just went through the roof, and the thing about it was that their facilities were able to maintain their costs within and stay within budget, where their competitors are way outside and stuff like that. And what happened was they were able to attract new business and make acquisitions and things because they were taking over companies that couldn't control their costs and bringing them in line and stuff. And we were a key function of that aspect.
Well, every business is focused on cost containment. So if you could do that with the nursing home area, is the same idea, concept, software able to be applicable to different industries?
That's a good question. I haven't and pursued, but some of the methodologies are that I'm going to say that I have a group, my team, I'm going to say refer to us as paid problem solvers. We're very good at doing analysis and finding out where the problems are and how to automate them. And one of the things that we've found software wise, most software previously was developed what we call top down versus bottom up. We always took the bottom up philosophy, and the reason for that, the top down, you have management who thinks they know how things should be done. They know what they want out of the system, but they're are not in the trenches per se. And what happens is that a lot of times the way that they develop the procedures forces people to work around the system rather than within the system. The name of the company is Simplified Software Development, and the thing that we focus on is finding how things actually work, and then making sure that we're making the lives of the people who input the data easier, because the old garbage in, garbage out syndrome takes place a lot more than you think. And if the software does not operate the way that the people who are actually inputting and utilizing the software, they'll work around it. They'll just put garbage into a field. They'll put in information. What happens is eventually that gives you incorrect information that doesn't and allow you to save money, and it eventually costs money.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate you. Yeah, I'm a preferred developer for a lot of nationals like LA Fitness, Starbucks, Dollar Tree. Did 22 or 23 preschools over the last 4.5 years around the country. And I got caught in a bind as I did 16 Guidepost Montessori schools, which was the largest privately owned Montessori school in North America, and they had 155 locations. Well, I sold 9 of them, and I ended up with 6 left behind, and they stopped paying rent on all of their schools August 1st. So they haven't paid rent since then. So we've had to cover our mortgage payments since July and negotiate with them, and they've given a number of our schools back, and they're not accepting delivery on 2 schools, and so we're trying to backfill them with schools, as a result. So that's been a big challenge for me, and I'm building for another school operator down in Austin. I'm doing a couple of Publix grocery stores out in the Southeast. I've got a little mini rollout of 5 to 10 high-end auto care here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I've been busy, and then I ended up with some land on one of my schools up in Plano, Texas, and I went and rezoned it for high-end custom homes. So I'm aligning with a home builder for me to build 6 custom homes. They're probably priced in the $1.7 million, $1.8 million range. I'm using a hard money lender to start the construction of those when I finish up the platting next month. I've got 5 custom lots on the other side of White Rock here in Dallas, which is a high-end area of Dallas, with another home builder that's not working out. I don't like working with him, so that's a challenge. I'd love to buy him out on the remaining five lots. We've done 2 homes together that just haven't worked out well. So, those are my challenges. But I have a lot of, let's say, I've done about 150, $175 million worth of development deals over the last 4 or 5 years, and I'm just a small company. I decided back 15 years ago to go paperless. I don't have any files. I have no filing cabinets. It's all in my computer on my file folders. I don't have a staff any longer. I decided not to have a staff and have offices. Just don't need it. Everybody figured that out in COVID, and hey, you know what? We can go to our lake house. We can go to our mountain house. We don't have to go to the office anymore. Well, I figured that out 15 years ago. Don't need it. So I office out of my house, and it's just easier. And I outsource everything, and I align with principles that I respect and admire, and keep up with well-founded people that are positive oriented. I for some reason I got linked up with a couple of negative people over the course of time. And when problems erupt in the business and commercial real estate, as they always do, you find out, what they really are. It's just, I always use the comment, circumstances don't make the man, circumstances reveal the man. And that's happened to me when you get into trouble and you find your partners just aren't up to speed, and they turn on you. So I've had a lot of learning experiences I go through time in my development expertise. I've been broke several times, and I don't sign recourse mostly on my deals nowadays. I'll give up more of an ownership position to the equity that comes into my projects, so I don't have to sign the recourse. So that helps out. But I'm busier than I've ever been, doing 20, 25 projects around the country, and I still stay after it. So I'm always willing to learn and always willing to share my experiences with people. And I'm mentoring a couple of younger people that have brought me opportunities to develop that I like. And so that's in essence what I do. And I don't know much about your organization, Rocky. I just saw it was of interest. I want to listen to what other people are doing and where their challenges are, and see if there's some way along the line that we end up maybe doing some business together. You never know. And one of my partners had a $60 million home burned down there, right there in California. And fortunately, he has the plans from the original building of the home, and he took it to the city, and they're allowing him to build it. And he doesn't have to go through the Coastal Commission, because the Coastal Commission, you try to do anything along the coastline in California, it'll take you 5 or 6 years to go through the process, and they will not allow any high rises. It's going to be custom homes again. And with all of that to develop, all the costs are going to go up, all the construction costs, the timing to deliver are going to go up. So my guy with a $60 million house, he's bringing his construction crews from Texas and going out and building his house. And he said it'll take him about 1.5 to 2 years to rebuild his home there in Malibu, but he'll get it done, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Well, construction and building is going around the whole country. I'm in Miami, and there's construction going on quite a bit. One of the things that I've heard is that they're hurting for labor simply because of ice. They're hiding out and they don't want to show up because of ice. So I don't know, that's going to impact the labor. Maybe slow it down. It's not going to eliminate it, but certainly building is one of those things that we want to pay attention, especially for construction for affordable living. And that might be a different question, but let me open it up to see if anybody has a question, comment, thought, feedback for Scott Remfry. Anybody?
Yeah, Rocky, Scott, this has been like drive-by learning this morning, and drive-by confirming my philosophy. Great to hear that you are a solo practitioner, as I am, 22 years. Quick story. I'm often criticized because they perceive me as being a loner, and I love it. But here's my pushback to that lofty praise, is that when I team up with 5 or 6 people, I get a portion of 1/5 of the team if there's 5 of us, right? When a
Right.
client hires me and reads my proposal, and I do what 5 do as one human being, I get all the money for myself.
Yep.
And the client is perfectly happy. And in those areas where I can't deliver the service specifically to his needs, I'll refer him to someone like Scott Remfry, who can do the job, and admirably so, that my reputation precedes me. So I'm right on with you. It took us, it takes you a while sometimes to recognize that it isn't always about money, that it is about, personal comfort and satisfaction that you're doing the right thing for people because you can and you have the ability.
Well, that's the critical part of it. And it's funny that I'm doing a little this mini rollout of these high-end auto cares, and the name of the company is Strategic First Auto Care, and his business is Strategic First, and excuse me, Integrity First. It's all about integrity and doing the right thing, and that's so important. And I took a class 20 years ago called Strategic Coach from Dan Sullivan out of Chicago, and we would meet once a quarter and we would shut off all our phones and cut off all of our communications and just focus for a day
Yeah.
on our businesses. And part of what I learned in that was I don't want to have an office. I don't want to have a lot of employees and all the drama that happens with people. I had numerous problems with employees and having to go through unemployment, or didn't realize that my receptionist was on meth. I had no idea, and I had to deal with that. And it's just one thing after another. So now I'm able to hire and outsource and get the strongest people that are, and I trust people. I don't micromanage. I let them run, do what they do best, and I step aside and let them finish their business and whatever their task is and whatever their business principles are. It's worked out for me, and I continue to do the same. It's just the drama of going into an office with 10 or 15 people was just too much for me. I'm too ADHD.
Well, I can appreciate that. I really can. And when you have a solution that is, that is good for a client, and you know that there are competing forces within your realm that are not going in your same direction, that's a headache. Why keep it? So,
Yep.
why keep it? So I can appreciate your point of view.
No, appreciate you saying that. Appreciate you interacting.
Yep.
Felix, I wonder if you might say a little bit more after 22 years in business, and you said something a bit a loner. Well, maybe you're also a philosopher in business, but maybe you could share what's your big idea this coming year, 2025, or the balance of it, and the opportunity, the challenge. But first, big idea, Felix.
My first big idea is rescaling. I've always been a tactical consultant because of the work that I do, folks. So I'm a workplace security consultant that help organizations implement and manage workplace security from a workplace violence prevention perspective. So I'm the guy that whenever there is a real genuine need for authenticity, they'll call me because they know me. Rarely do I get a client that comes to me from a Google search or some marketing campaign. It's usually Rocky saying, call Felix. So what I'm doing this year is doing something that I integrated and that I did it unintentionally. And that is help. I wrote it down for you. Help organizations improve organizational effectiveness, facilitate, client learning. And the other one is building consensus within organizations. So they already know why they've called me. Now I want to take it to another level where long after I'm gone, they can sustain themselves, but they got to pay me a lot up front for that knowledge. So I'm going to try it this year, specifically related to those three services in my rebrand and rescale, and see where it goes.
It's all about the marketing aspect initially. So if you can market based on your 22 years of experience, I would suggest probably market to your existing clients. They will know who you are, and they will, of course, open up doors to other organizations. That makes a lot more sense rather than putting a lot of money for people that you don't know. I think that the surest way is to be able to work with those that you know. The second one is to be able to work with those partners that understand what you do and they have a client base that they can open up the doors for. That makes a lot of sense as well too, because like when we're talking to Richard, his challenge is marketing. Well, if you just went to people that understood who you are, what you do, and allowed them to open up the doors to their clients, that would make a lot of sense, especially with the things that you offer, Felix. So
Rocky, let me tell you something, man. I've known you how many years, and you're very consistent. I practice that. I go to my influential business associates who personally know me. Once I get hired by a client, I stay within that client's realm and I ask him to make referrals for me. Then I go back to my old clients and I say, hey, how you doing? You need me? Oh my God, Felix, I do need you. So you've been guiding me along the years quite effectively and efficiently. Thank you very much.